If you want to start modeling but you have no idea where to begin, I know exactly how you feel because I was in the same position 5 years ago when I started my career. Since then, I've gotten offers from multiple agencies and I just signed my 5th agency contract with these digitals. I've worked with international brands in New York and LA, and in this video, I'm going to talk about everything you need to know to get started in the modeling industry and what to be aware of when you get signed with an agency. This video includes all of the knowledge that essentially took me 5 years to accumulate from personal experience, from talking to other models on jobs and at castings, and from talking to agents directly. I do have timestamps in the description box below, but I would recommend watching this video entirely through because I have a lot of small random tips throughout this video that can help you get offers. And also I talk about important things to look out for when you get signed with an agency. And I kind of just sprinkle that all throughout the video. So in this video, I'll touch on how to take digitals, how to build your portfolio, what to look for in an agency, major red flags in the modeling industry, and also normal costs that you might have to incur as an agency signed model. If you're new here, I'm Carly. I talk all about how to approach modeling as a business on this channel. So if you're interested, subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss my videos. If you want to start modeling, the most common path is to get started with an agency. And I would recommend that because getting interest from a reputable agent is a signifier that they think you can book work and make money in that particular market. That's a great first step. To get signed with an agency, you're going to have to take digitals, also known as Polaroids. And these are clear images of your current look with very little or no makeup. This is a way for agents to get a sense of what your natural look, body type, and proportions look like. The most common images that agencies ask for are a headshot, a 3/4 profile shot, a 3/4 body shot, and a full body shot. Agency websites always say that you can get a friend or family member to take these digitals for you, but to be completely honest, I don't think that's good enough. If you have someone take them for you, I would really recommend having someone with an artistic eye or even asking a photographer in the modeling world to help you with your digitals. You might have to pay for a photographer to take your digitals, but if you think you have the look to book work, then it could be a very worthwhile investment. If you don't have those options, I just take them myself with a tripod and self-timer, or I'll take a video and I'll screenshot the frames that I like. I personally have never paid any money for a photographer to take digitals for me, but that's not to say I won't in the future. I stress digitals because they are the single most important thing for you to get right. This is the biggest factor that comes to getting you signed. Agents make a pretty quick snap judgment on whether they want to represent you with the digitals that you submit. I have always taken my digitals on a tripod versus asking someone who isn't experienced in photography to take my digitals for me because it's all about getting the correct angles and the correct distance as well as subtle facial expressions. So I tend to do a lot of reps until I'm happy with what I have. I often find something I want to change, and with a tripod I can just take as many reps as I need without knowing the photographer. And also, if you're relaxed and not self-conscious, that confidence shows up in the digitals too. My biggest tip for taking digitals is to think about embodying a subtle intention right before the camera snaps. And you want that intention to show in your eyes while you're keeping your face neutral. It's all super subtle. For example, if I were to do it really quickly right now, there's a difference between me looking at the camera with a relaxed face versus engaging my facial muscles, pulling my ears back, and presenting more of a look. This is also something you can play with. And sometimes I also realize I go a bit too intense and then I scale it back a little bit too. Agency sites have digitals of all of their models. So if you want to see digitals of working models, you can cross-check who they post on social media with the digitals on the agency website. And that gives you a pretty good idea of what they're looking for. Perfect digitals is a mixture of getting the angles and facial expressions just right. And agencies receive thousands of submissions weekly, so I really do everything I can in order to stand out. If you're trying to be a model, you have to be comfortable moving in front of the camera. And there are a few ways to do this with as little cost as possible. You can shoot with your friends, and you can even do self-shoots with a tripod and good lighting. So setting expectations, you probably won't be able to use a lot of those early photos for your professional portfolio once you get signed. It really depends on the photographer's editing style and their experience shooting modeling portfolios. I say this because all of the shoots I did before I got signed, as much as I liked them, I learned that they were not usable because fashion photography has a distinct look. And even when I browse r/modeling on Reddit, lots of models post their collaborations with photographers for feedback. And from my point of view, a lot of them just can't be used for professional modeling portfolios, and that's just because of the photographer's editing style. But at the very least, these photos should be good enough for Instagram. And the point of these shoots is to help you get more comfortable in front of the camera and to learn how to take direction from, and more importantly, how to collaborate with a photographer. In the beginning, I was shooting with anyone who wanted to build their portfolio because I wanted experience. But now I am more picky simply because I'm shooting to expand my professional portfolio. So I try to work with photographers who, based on their previous work, I know they have the eye and editing style that can create marketable images for me to book clients. When it comes to building out a professional portfolio, a starter portfolio will have a minimum of 3 different looks and 2 headshots, so at least 8 images total. That's the minimum amount I've seen in starter portfolios. You will only use 2, maximum 3 images per clothing look and background. So anytime I do unpaid test shoots, I try to ask for 2 styling looks, which generally I provide, and I consider it a huge win if I get 2 usable images per look for my portfolio from the shoot. And that's because portfolio shoots with styling and hair and makeup can cost realistically north of $800 these days. So if I can get usable images for free, that's a huge win for me. If you, for whatever reason, don't have access to any photographers who are willing to shoot you, you can do self-photography shoots at home. You just need a simple background and good lighting. I would err on the side of more minimal makeup and simple styling so clients and agents can see what your natural look is like. And also opportunities to collaborate with photographers for trade for prints or TFPs will come as you build your portfolio. Most often you'll have to seek them out, but you might find that you get more yeses because as you build your portfolio, you just have some work under your belt. As a completely new model, ideally you're looking for an agent who is willing to take the time to develop you and to train you. For that reason, I would recommend signing with a mother agency because the role of the mother agent is to develop you and help you get your portfolio together. And then they pitch you to agencies in different markets, usually called secondary agencies, or they might even pitch you to a bigger agency in the same market. Mother agents benefit from this investment by splitting the booking fee with your other agents when your other agents book you work. So you shouldn't lose any money from being signed with a mother agent. Which is to say you always give your standard agency fee to the agent, but you wouldn't pay any extra aside from that standard agency fee from your chunk of the pie. Along with finding a mother agent for your first agency, I would also recommend against signing with an agency that has hundreds of models on its board. Generally, agency teams aren't that big, so that means each agent has to be responsible for managing and handling a large number of models. And if that's the case, they generally won't have the time to give you the attention you need and to answer all of your questions as a new model. Agencies with big boards sometimes play a numbers game instead of taking time to invest in their models. So they'll submit all of the models that match a certain description to a casting call, and they might have 100 bookings across 200 models on their board, whereas smaller agencies might have 50 bookings across 20 models on their board. And these are just random numbers, but the idea is models from smaller agencies might be more successful with more bookings than models from bigger agencies. And that's because agents with fewer models to manage can give more attention to each model. Overall, you should be optimizing for someone really excited to sign you and has a plan for how far they see your career going. Ideally, they have connections with casting directors and brands in the sense that brands specifically ask those agencies to shoot the models under their roster, which means that there's less competition for those types of jobs. Some things you can observe to gauge how excited an agency might be about you. How quickly do they respond to your communication? Are they open to answering all of your questions? Are they on top of guiding you to do what you need to do next? And here are some questions you can ask that might give you more clarity. What types of jobs do you think I can book based on my current look and the current market? Once I have my portfolio together, which markets do you think I could get signed and book work in? What types of images should I add to my portfolio so that I have a better chance at booking these jobs or getting placed? Agents will never guarantee you jobs. Sometimes they sign models thinking these models can book work, but either the market changes or the agent doesn't put in the effort needed to market the model, or for whatever reason, the model just isn't getting much interest. That's unfortunately the risk you take as a model, but an agent showing excitement for how they want to develop and market you as a model is a great sign. And presumably they want to sign you because they've gotten casting requests for people of your profile and they don't have enough models with your skill set or or with your look. So getting signed is a proof of concept, but never a guarantee that you'll book jobs. You can look for mother agencies at motheragents.com or models.com. Not all agencies are listed on models.com because it's a site that agents pay to get on. But at the very least, if they are on there, then they are reputable in the sense that they make money by booking jobs for their models, as compared to being a modeling school or a photography mill. And that being said, even if they are listed on models.com, you still have to do your due diligence. I would recommend reaching out to models who are signed with that agency and see if they are working regularly, and recommend signing with this agency. Outside of digitals, another factor that can work heavily in your favor is having a marketable skill or lots of Instagram followers. One of the biggest modeling myths is that you have to be beautiful. That is false. You have to be marketable. It happens that if you're conventionally beautiful, it makes it easier for you to be marketable. But just as important is having a personality, interesting hobbies, or a marketable skill, or a social media presence. That's important because many castings ask for real people, as in real athletes, real people who play specific sports, etc., and you have to show that in your casting tape. Social media is also a great place to highlight this. Here are some red flags I have learned to avoid in the modeling industry. The first one is usage in perpetuity. This is usually a request from a client, and it means that any images or video you shoot, they get to use forever. And typically models get paid for the hours they spend shooting a job, and also they get paid for the brand using the materials models shoot. Common practice is usage in the US is for 1 to 2 years, and if the brand wants to continue using these images beyond the initial 2 years of usage, they have to pay you more money, usually more than what they paid for the initial usage rate. Additional usage I've seen is typically 125 to 150% more than the initial usage. So theoretically, you could keep getting paid thousands of dollars for something you shot 3 to 5 years ago. Most agents will not suggest you sign a contract for usage in perpetuity. And if a client is asking for perpetuity, they're taking advantage of new models or unsigned models who don't know their worth, and also who are desperate to book a job. 3 main reasons why I don't do anything in perpetuity is because 1, the brand values might shift over time into something that I no longer align with. And they could continue using my face to promote their brand, and I can't say anything about it. 2, it might preclude me from booking other jobs with competitors down the road. If the usage expired, then I can work with competitors, no problem. Or if they want additional usage, I can negotiate a higher rate because I'm potentially losing out on jobs if they want additional 2 years of usage. But if I sign something in perpetuity, I have to disclose that to a competitor brand. If they might reject me because of it, costing me thousands of dollars of income when I got paid peanuts for something in perpetuity. And that's the other thing. Anytime I see jobs in perpetuity, it's always under $1,000. Finally, if you become a public figure, the value of your endorsement and personal brand rises. That means you probably won't be booking jobs for the same rate later on in your career as you did early in your career. So if usage is up for renegotiation, you can ask for a higher rate because you've cultivated a personal brand, and the client is then paying for your audience too. I talk more about modeling rates and usage in my video on how commercial models get paid, which I'll link up there. The next red flag is photographers who only shoot nude women. This is usually men, and this is a major side eye for me. It's odd to me because nude or nude adjacent photos aren't necessary to book jobs. You can always do it as an artistic project, but it doesn't have to be with a male photographer, and again, it's not necessary to book commercial jobs. One caveat I have is shooting swim or lingerie, but that's also a particular style, and if a photographer shoots swim, that should be one style of image they have in an overall portfolio, not the only style in their portfolio. Paid seminars and modeling schools are a bit of a red flag for me when it comes to agencies. If an agency strongly encourages you to pay for a seminar, or they say that they won't represent you until after you enroll in their classes or shoot with their photographers, major red flag. New models can start working without any experience, and they build experience with test shoots and smaller jobs. And speaking of in-house photographers, I also side-eye agencies that push their models to pay money to shoot with their in-house photographers. It's fine if they have in-house photographers, but you should build your portfolio with whichever photographer you want to work with. In fact, agencies should give you a list of photographers they prefer you to shoot with, and these are photographers they know can give you the images you need to market you to clients. Some normal costs you might have to incur as an agency signed model: website fees and comp cards. Some agencies don't even charge website fees, but most do. I usually negotiate my website fees to be taken out of my first paycheck, so I don't pay those until I get paid from a booking. Comp cards are your model business card, and they are necessary, though I have found that fewer and fewer in-person castings ask me to even leave those behind anymore. They usually have my spec sheet and images on their screen anyway, but maybe every, I would say, 10 castings I attend, they will accept my comp card. If you get signed with an agency, in an ideal situation, you shouldn't be paying anything to the agency upfront. I would also recommend having a go-to casting outfit. In New York, I would wear jeans, a black tank top, or black long sleeve if it was cold, and heeled boots. Honestly, commercial castings are quite casual, but I like to make sure I'm put together because I hate feeling underdressed in a casting room. And also, your appearance is your brand. I just wear the same thing over and over, and it's easy because I don't have to think about it that hard. Your power lies in your willingness to walk away. If an agency with questionable practices wants to sign you, as cool as it is to be signed with an agency to start your career, it really might be worth waiting another 3 months, taking digitals, and applying to your list of agencies again. That's compared to signing a 2 or 3 year contract with an agency that won't push you out to clients or won't book you work. And in the meantime, you can keep developing yourself. Keep shooting, keep taking digitals, post your photos on Instagram, and the more you shoot, the better of a model you become naturally just through practice. Also, changing your look can get interest from agencies too. Like cutting or dyeing your hair might make all of the difference. Remember that rejection is normal in this industry. That's the only guarantee. But the yeses feel so glorious. The yeses when you get interest from an agency, the yeses when you start booking clients, the locations you get to work in. Those feelings are indescribable, and that's why I keep doing it despite all of the rejection. One thing that makes the rejection sting less is not relying on modeling as my only source of income. There will inevitably be slow seasons. That has always been the case for me. And in those slow seasons, I'm working on other things like my social media presence, my other streams of income, and just working on being a healthy person overall. With that said, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you're a beginner model and don't want to spend that much money on your portfolio, I have a whole video on how to build a beginner portfolio for free, and you can check that out right here.